I've certainly talked about guruism in the past, and most of you who've been with me for a while know about my misgivings when it comes to guruism. But I think in 2022, in this late current year, that we have entered into a new stage of guruism, something really off the charts. And I think that guruism has effectively become something much more akin to hero worship, and still far worse, idol worship. Of course, as a grift, that's obvious. But more than just being a grift, it has near religious connotations to it. Now, I hate to invoke the figure yet again, but Bathrobe Man, aka Hamza, is the perfect example of this. He refers to himself as a cult leader. You can look at the comments. And the religious connotation to this, if you skim through the comment section of really any video, is a kind of religious adulation. It isn't, oh, that's a really good point you made there. I tried that. It's, thank you for your existence. Thank you for just speaking. Thank you for uplifting us. These are the kinds of statements you would expect from the acolytes of some religious leader or somebody who's been inspired on a divine level. Now, obviously we know about the crisis of fatherlessness, and obviously this is probably part of that issue. But I think it goes far deeper than that. This isn't just a matter of lacking father figures or having father figures that were insufficient. Because if you think about how it used to work when it came to looking up to people, calling people your hero, and I think most of us went through some phase like that, although I have never really myself, although I've observed a lot of people who have. It's something like an astronaut, right? You were growing up, there was some astronaut Smith, and he managed to make it to the moon, and it was really impressive, and when you grew up, you wanted to be just like him. Or a baseball player who was really, really good at baseball, and he swung those home runs, and he was just the type of guy, the type of athlete you wanted to be. Or maybe you had a professor that really inspired you, and he was really wise, and he seemed to be knowledgeable, and he knew what he was talking about, and you thought, I'd like to be like him too. But very rarely in the past did you look up to people in the sense for total life guidance, for the assumption of all aspects of life and how you should live that life. These are people, arguably your quote-unquote heroes, that were highly specialized, whether it was the baseball player, the football player, the astronaut, the teacher, the professor, whatever. Some guy that inspired you, some guy you looked up to, fair enough. But you acknowledge their humanity, right? These were human beings by and large. And as you got older, you might have realized that these people had certain flaws and that you really were admiring them or looking up to them in a very niche capacity, which is totally normal. Now, let's be honest. It's not as if in the past, in days bygone, a long time ago, there weren't people akin to life coaches or life gurus. They were typically religious leaders. Some of them actually believed in what they preached. Some of them didn't. Some of them were just pure charlatans. But this sort of person has existed in the past. It's just that as we are increasingly irreligious in today's day and age, the people who pose as life coaches and gurus are no longer spiritual leaders in any classical sense, although for all intents and purposes, they assume that title. These days, increasingly, you'll see that the life coach guru has morphed into a near purely religious figure. You have comments, you'll see, that are effectively akin to worship, or at the very least religious reverence. You'll have zealots who will defend their religion, which in this case is a particular life coach. And none of these life coaches, probably because it's bad for business, and probably also because it's just human nature, has a single iota of humility, right? You might notice something with me, or have done over the many years I've been around, and that I assign a lot of value to humility. Why is that? Well, because no one human can know everything. We're all fallible. And people forget that when you assume a very grandiose role, and people take you very, very seriously, right? You're actually assuming a massive amount of responsibility for other people outside of your own life. Now, of course, you can say, well, I'm just telling them what I think, and da-da-da. It's one of the reasons why I never really give advice. Worst advice is advice. But when you become an actual guru, a religious leader, a cult leader, as, say, Bathrobe Man is, what happens then? Well, you're taking responsibility for probably millions of people, and you're telling them, you need to do this, you need to do that. You're giving them a one-shoe-size-fits-all solution to their problems, a simple solution. Again, hear the echoes of religious doctrine here. Very often, not always, religions offer simple solutions to complex problems, because it's a tremendous relief for most human beings to be able to discharge their own thought processes and just blindly adhere to something somebody else is saying. And that's how I can tell, in the case of my subs, that, thank the gods, I'm not revered as some hero. I'm just a guy talking, right, at the end of the day. There's a lot of criticism, a lot of positive comments too, but I've never claimed to be anything more than just a guy. Contrast that with some of the comments you've seen. It's just very dangerous. Now, of course, what would be the charges level of me? Oh, you're just jealous of his popularity, blah, blah, blah. It really isn't that. I really think it's very dangerous for young men in particular to look to individual men as this be-all, end-all religious figure that is going to solve the problems in their life. It's bordering on religious fanaticism, and it also smacks of, I would argue, a type of mental illness. We're effectively talking about a savior figure, a figure that's promising salvation. And I think anyone with 2 brain cells can see the problem with that. Some mortal man, a fallible mortal man, claiming that he can offer you salvation. Now notice how this is distinct, I think, from some lack of a father figure. Father figures were never meant to tell you how to live your life to a T, how to tackle every problem. They gave you a certain blueprint, right? They didn't say you need to ascend by, take your pick, going to the gym, eating this way, dressing this way, etc., etc. Very, very formulaic. Now contrast that with a father figure who teaches you the ropes of life, the means you can avail yourself of to interact with the world. That's different than the modern guru, the hero, the idol. And effectively, that's what I'm saying. This is idol worship that we're witnessing. And sure, if somebody's completely addicted to video games or anime or whatever it might be, it's good to take a break from that. It's good to do other things. And you could even maybe make an argument that some of this guruism helps men escape from certain traps they're in. But when taken to the extreme, which in many cases it has become, you end up in a religious situation where you really can't tell the difference between people adoring some deific figure or some reverent leader from some guy on YouTube spouting platitudes about what people should do with their lives. And therein lies the rub, unfortunately. Anyway, it does really seem like we have entered into a new era, a very extreme era beyond life coaching, beyond guruism, an era of the religious icon in an irreligious setting. And I think it's very, very alarming and disturbing. And I hope some of these guys can snap out of it. That's all I can say about that. As always, thanks for tuning in. Please leave a like, share, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube jazz. Really appreciate it. And as always, may the gods watch over you, the true gods. And if I'm still alive, I'll check you out later. Take care. Enjoy your weekend. Bye-bye. If you liked this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you enjoy my content, please consider making a donation or becoming a patron. Thanks for watching.